seniors have to absorb the following: a 12% increase from the Provincial Energy Authority that kicked in this very week, 12%. I've already done some math for you. There's $53 million in a tax grab that's designed to pay for the Green Energy Act. There's that. There is the issue of smart meters, and I'll address those in a minute, which are coming to my riding with an increase in rates by as much as 52%. And there's the HST. It is literally, from an energy perspective, coming at people from all sides. It doesn't matter where they look, there's somebody piling on. And the somebody always seems to be connected in layers to this government. And the numbers are unfathomable and they're unabsorbable. And it doesn't matter whether you come from the north or the south or the east of the west or the west. This is Ontario. It's applying everywhere to ordinary people. Now, I heard from a resident in my riding last week in an email dated April 26th. I'll leave his name out of it, but he could be anybody. He is anybody. I had written to the Premier, he writes, last July, expressing my concern about the various increases coming together for the cost of electricity. As yet, I don't have a smart meter, but my best guess is that it will add 20%, as we are in our mid-70s and not inclined to get up at 2 a.m. to do the laundry or dishes, and also not inclined to buy new clothes and dishwashers with delayed startup timers when our current appliances work just fine. The point of this note is to advise that today, PowerStream sent us a letter increasing the monthly installment from $194, which they set themselves from historic data, to $378 per month for the next 6 months. Let me say that again, $194 to $378 for a couple on fixed incomes above 70 years old for the next 6 months. Upon calling, I found some was catch-up, but a significant portion was the inclusion of the HST and the 12.9% rate increase. I suppose part of this is helping fund the Premier's green agenda. I still don't understand how he will keep the Ohio-Pennsylvania power plant emissions at the border once his new plants are in place. Anyway, just thought you'd like to know I did send him a letter, a second letter on this issue, but don't expect a response. Retired seniors are not important. That's his conclusion. And you know what, Speaker? He's right. Retired seniors are not important. They can't be important, or you wouldn't be piling on. And I've just enumerated 4 different levels of taxation or charge or fee or levy, or call it what you will, but at the end of the day, underneath all of this is the Ontario government. And these are all coming into play within a period, I could say of months, but really it's weeks, over the course of 12 weeks. From now until July 1st, 4 different levels, and people just like that constituent who wrote to me are saying, hey, when is enough enough? And Speaker, I say to you, I have a sneaking suspicion it may be somewhere around October 2011. To continue, the gentleman's monthly installment, as we've seen, is almost doubling. This is almost a 100% increase, and that's now. That's now. More to come. This is not an estimate that came from him. This is an estimate that came from his local utility, the folks he has no choice but to buy power from, unless he somehow builds his own. Far, far, far away for somebody to be able to do that in a 2-story home in Thornhill. That estimate is only for the next 6 months. As I said, the question then becomes, who knows what happens? Is the sky the limit? This government has decided that its energy policy, if you can even discern a coherent energy policy, rests, for example, largely in Korea. We don't know what the effect of that is going to be. We don't know what the effect of renewable energy as integrates under a feed-in tariff system with this province's grid is going to mean ultimately. I sat in this legislature along with my colleagues from all sides of this House during the introduction and the debate of the Green Energy Act, and remember very well the almost infinitesimal amount that the then Energy and Infrastructure Minister said would be the ultimate result of his Green Energy Act, and we have far, and we're talking orders of magnitude here, Speaker, surpassed that at this point in time. So is it believable that we can see a point where we can stop time and ascertain what our energy bills are going to be? Can we tell our seniors that there's going to be a point where they can stop absorbing increases that they can't really afford? The answer, obviously, at this point is no, it's not. The tax package that the government likes to talk about when talking about the HST will be revenue neutral is not going to offset, even if you believed that it were revenue neutral, the 100% increase being absorbed in this man's energy costs, let alone the 8% increase he and other seniors will pay on hundreds of other items starting July 1st. The concept that the HST is going to be revenue neutral is laughable. I was assigned by my party to cover Premier McGuinty's media availability this morning, and I thought we would be hearing questions about, perhaps the raids that were conducted overnight on crime. The questions were almost exclusively, and this is coming from the media, and what is the media if not market-driven? The questions were entirely about the HST. People are beginning to feel the effects as they buy in advance, pay in advance for things that will be delivered after July. And so they're noticing. And as we move closer to July 1st, they're going to notice more. In the energy bill that was cited in the email that I just read, the HST was coming into play. I predict, Speaker, and I predict for the members on the other side that if you think you've escaped the wrath of the people of Ontario for what you're imposing on them by way of the HST, and if you think you really can sell the concept of revenue neutrality, you've got another thing coming, and if you think that it's getting bad now, the heat in the kitchen is going to become intense as we near July 1st, as we get to July 1st, and it's not going to go away anytime soon, and I can promise every single one of you that we will take it to the doors at election time, that we will continue to push this very hard, and we'll marry it as we have today, courtesy of you, to every single other one of these impositions that you're putting on us. Well, I guess we've got them going now, Speaker.
Absolutely, all the truth.
In any event, it's interesting that the rebate amount is actually set in this legislation. I've said before, set in the legislation and would have to be repealed or amended in a world where you can impose a new tax or levy literally every single week. And you have for the past 4 weeks approximately. This is extremely odd for a government that loves to regulate. It means that the rebate amount cannot be adjusted even to the cost of living without new legislation. So I'd love to hear from one of the members who's going to comment whether the anticipation is that we're going to get, what is it called? An act to implement the Northern Ontario Energy Credit 2011 next year. Perhaps we will. It demonstrates, Speaker, that this government is not serious about providing tax relief to anyone. So you can stand the revenue minister up here every single day in question period, Speaker, and he can go on and on and on about what a revelation it is and what a new day it is in an open Ontario for a quid pro quo type of arrangement where we have a tax rebate that will more than adequately cover the out-of-pocket costs of the HST. But the fact of the matter is that our party doesn't believe it, the people of Ontario don't believe it, and it's going to become reality on July 1st, and people who may have their doubts, including the folks on the other side, are going to find out, if you're not already, through the email and the letters and the very people stopping you in the street to ask you and comment about it as you go about your ridings. This bill would not be coming forward if the combination of the HST and the soaring hydro rates weren't already going to hammer Northerners and all Ontarios like a breaking ball on a building. And while I will vote for this bill because any relief is some relief, it is way too little and it is way too late. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. Comments and questions? The member from Welland.